Hello guys and girls, this is RoboHunterX again here with another scanning tutorial. This is a more updated version. I was just going through and watching my last one. I feel like I did a pretty good job on that. It got quite a bit of views, whatnot. I just want to come up with basically a redo of it, of showing exactly how to use scanning probes effectively. I'm not really going to use combat scanning very much here because it's just going to be a basic kind of core scanner probe kind of tutorial here just to get the basics down, and mainly because one of my court members does not know really how to scan, so we're going to fix that in this video hopefully. Alright, so first thing you see here, I've got my Tengu. If you don't know what a Tengu is, it's basically a Tech 3 ship, perhaps one of the most advanced ships in the game because you can refit it to do all sorts of things. So if we just pop up my fitting here, we can see that I have the very basics of scanning equipped here. I have a covert ops cloak, since one of the subsystems here allows me to fit that. I have a probe launcher. Again, one of the subsystem helps with that as well. And I've got probes here. Alright, so something you want to keep in mind here is you're going to want to take an expanded probe launcher if you are able to fit it. Basically right now it's only taking 2.1 teraflops or just 2.1 CPU and 1 megawatt of power grid usage. That's basically because one of these subsystems allows me to fit this with a very, I think it's 90% reduction in CPU usage. However, you have to keep in mind that most of these are actually pretty hefty. As you can see here, the CPU usage is 242 teraflops, so they're pretty intensive to fit. There's going to be things, for example, recon ships or a buzzard, for example. Basically a covert ops frigate is going to be able to fit one of these easily because it gets a bonus to the reduction of CPU usage per level on it. Now something else you need to keep in mind here is there's actually the core probe launcher, which is more of an entry level, and if we look at fitting here, it only takes 15 teraflops of CPU and 1 megawatt of power grid, which is a lot easier to fit than that 250 whatever the crap it is for the Tech 1 for the expanded. However, you need to keep in mind here that if we take a look at the attributes, it only holds 0.80 meters cubed of capacity. Now, one of these sister core probes takes up 0.1 meters cubed, so you can fit 8 of those in there. However, the sisters combats take up a whole meter cubed of space, which means you won't be able to fit combat probes in there, but you'll be able to fit core probes. So this might be better if you're doing plexing or something that doesn't require you to scan down ships and find targets using probes. Perhaps you might just rely on the directional scanner, which, oh, here's a shameless promo here. I actually have another video for that I'm going to put up on the screen right here if you're curious about the directional scanner and a few tips and tricks about it. Alright, now that we've nailed the basics down here, we have our ship, we have it fitted. Let's go ahead and undock and do a little bit of scanning. Alright, so here we are. As you can see, the new patch actually just came out today, the Chronos expansion, or whatever they're calling it now. I don't even know if it's called expansion. Now, as soon as we go into a system, we can basically see a couple things pop up here. Here we can see one of these, and I wonder what these are. Well, these are basically sites in the system, and this will give you a very good overlay of what's actually in the system. And we're going to want to scan these down because they're basically unidentified. So as we can look around, that's about it. Alright, so let's go ahead and open up our probe scanner here. You can also press Alt Delta, and that will open it up for you here. First thing you're going to see is these few tabs. We're not going to bother with moon analysis, directional scanner, or probe scanner. That's the one we're going to be dealing with. I'm just going to go ahead and warp to a random planet here. Get out of the way of the station. Okay, so the first thing we're going to want to do here is we're going after basically unidentified sites or signals. You're probably going to see this pop up here, but I usually hide the anomalies, mainly because where I'm working at, there's usually a crap load of anomalies. I don't want them clogging it up, so I'll just untick that. Something else that you're going to want to do is go up here and hit Show All, and now we can see Cosmic Signature. There's 2 of them. Those are the 2 that we were looking at here. So the first thing we're going to do here is it's going to open up my cargo, and I'm going to load the core scanner probes. And it takes 10 seconds, blah, blah, blah. Now something you want to keep in mind is if you're in a wormhole or a hostile environment is, for one, I'm going to be cloaked up now. I'm not going to do it now just because it's going to take a while. But when you uncloak, you're going to want to fire off these probes. However, you got to keep in mind that they're actually objects in space, and if you're 200 or 2 clicks away from them, you're not going to be able to cloak. I'm able to cloak here because my skills are pretty good. If you're pretty entry-level skills with cloaks, it might uncloak you. That's just something you need to keep in mind. So you want to fire up your micro warp drive or afterburner or something, get away from the probes, etc., etc., etc. But we're not going to be dealing with combat scanning today. Alright, so all I did there was open up my map. You might have to switch to solar system map, but if you hit this button, you should be fine here. Now keep in mind, if you're entry level, which you probably are for watching this video, it might be significantly harder for you to find targets and pin them down because of your skills. A few skills you're going to want to train is basically, if we just open up my character sheet here, go into skills, we're going to go down here to scanning. They're going to be all in this group here. We've got a few important ones like astrometric acquisition, pinpointing, and range finding. You're going to want to get these pretty high here. As you can see, I don't even have these trained up to 4. I have like 3, level 2, and I still do a decent job. For the Tech 2 launcher, you're going to actually need astrometrics to level 5, so just keep that in mind as well. It's a whole whopping 11 days for me with +4 implants in. Alright, so now we've got our probes open here. I just want to advise you about something is any combat probes, or not combat probes, just any probes in general, can actually be seen on the overlay here, and this is going to be a clusterfuck. If we just scroll down through here, untick that so it shows everything. Here we go. So here they are. So they're 20 kilometers away, kind of confused me. As you can see, them on directional scan. So if they're within 14.3 AUs, which you're probably always going to have to be to scan someone down or something down, they'll be able to see this on directional scan. If you want to stay anonymous inside of a wormhole system, for example, you might not want to use combat probes and use something else. But I keep dipping into the combat side of this. Let's go ahead and get into the actual scanning. So the first thing we're going to see here is all these bubbles. Now what are these? Basically, these are your scan ranges. And inside here, if I hold Alt here, we can see the different probes. Now, you're not going to really mess with this too much. CCP did a pretty good job of adding these 2 different type of formations. And generally, I always use the pinpoint formation. The first thing you're going to do is you can see this this red circle here. Apparently, I'm colorblind. So I know there's a target somewhere within there. There's an anomaly somewhere within that bubble. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drag over here. I went ahead and switched to the pinpoint formation, by the way. And I'm going to kind of rotate down here and try to get it generally in the middle. And next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure there's lots of overlap. I'm just clicking the side of this bubble and dragging it. And what this is actually doing is it's moving your probes outward, and it's actually increasing their range as well, so they keep the same kind of spread formation there, which is quite lovely. And we're going to hit scan. Now your probes are going to actually warp towards these locations that I can't show you right now because it's scanning, but basically where they were at. So they're actually there on the solar system. So someone here can probably pick it up on directional scanner. Alright, perfect. So we've got our first kind of hit here. Now you got to keep in mind that this is not the exact spot where it is. As you can see here, I've only got 13.7 signal on it. So even if I did this and then drop the range all the way down, I'm going to lose it. Guaranteed that I'll lose it. So the next thing you're going to do is you're basically going to go through a process of moving that there and then getting the up and down axis. I can't think of what it would be. Probably the y-axis. I was never good at math. Down, and you're going to try to get that straight in the middle. You're going to hit scan again. As you can see now, we're at 8 AUs away from or actually we're at 8 scan range. And as you see here, it moves quite a bit because we're starting to actually get where it's at. And we need to go up a little here, and then we'll drop the range again. If your skills are pretty decent, you should be able to like take 2 steps. So as you can see here, it's 8, 16. So if I was like 16 level, I'd probably be able to drop it down to not this, but 4, and probably still get it. That's kind of risky sometimes. I might do that a little bit when I'm combat scanning, just to try to get the target faster, because their ships usually don't stand still. So right now we went from 8 to 4 AUs, and we're scanning again. Bam. As you can see here, we've got a wormhole as the cosmic signature. Now, the kind of weird thing here is I'm not sure if this is rounding up or not, but generally around 50% you're going to see what type of group it's in. That could be anything from a ore site. It used to be called LADAR, gravimetric, etc., radar, all that stuff. Now they just simplified it quite a bit and called it data sites, ore sites, ice belts, stuff like that. But you'll see the group. You won't see what type it is. So if this was like an ore site, I'd only see this, and once I get it to around 100%, I'd see if it's an ice or an ore belt. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do, now we're starting to get it pinned down quite a bit, and this is again where skills will come in handy. It'll keep that target from jumping around too much. It should stop jumping around actually here. And there's a general rule that most anomalies follow, or not anomalies, but cosmic signatures follow, and that is that they usually stay about, they stay pretty close to planets here. As you can see, this one's about, I don't even know how to guess this. Let me see if I can't use this or something. Yeah, that's not that's not helpful at all. They generally stay about 8 AU away. As you can see, this is 2 AU, so we can see this bubble here. They stay pretty close. So how close is that? That's about half an AU. So they stay anywhere from half an AU to about 2 to 4 AUs out away from planets. So if you're in a wormhole that has a lot of sites that you just haven't scanned down, you can easily just drop your probes around a planet, generally ones with a lot of moons, and pretty much pick up 50% and ID, at least ID, but not bookmark the sites. And as you can see here, while I was babbling, we actually got 100%, so I actually do have a warp 2. So in this case, you generally warp to 100. Just a quick tip, generally with wormholes, you can actually bookmark them from here. Here, you can hit save location. I never do that. I always warp to the wormhole itself, because when you do this, sometimes the wormhole moves, as weird as that seems. As it gets smaller, it moves a few 50 to 500 meters, and sometimes your warp point will actually be bad, because you'll warp to it and you won't actually land on it. You'll land next to it or somewhere close to it. So we'll just come out here and see, oh look, we found a wormhole. Unknown parts of space. So that's actually going into wormhole space. Oh, wouldn't that be fun to go into, right? Alright, so here we are. We're just going to jump into this wormhole. Well, no, it goes to wormhole space, so this would be a pretty good environment to show you some of the scanning applications inside of a wormhole. Alright, so let's fire up the map here. We can see we got, wow, only 3 sites here. Well, this kind of sucks. I was hoping for a crap load more. This is a very active wormhole. Something else to do, always bookmark the freaking exit. I don't know how many times I've gone into a wormhole and I have not bookmarked the exit. I had to scan it down. Stuff took forever, etc., etc. So I always name it exit. Bam, just like that. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do here is, I can see a few sites here. I'm just going to probably go for this one out here, because remember how I was going on about these are generally close to planet groups. I'm just going to drop my range down to 8 here, hit scan, see what happens if we get any hits around here. Okay, and as you can see, we still get it right around here. Let's go ahead and pin that down there. Okay, so I don't want to completely isolate this planet down here. I don't think it's pretty close, but it's not exactly around it or on top of the planet. What is this? Planet 7 over here. So we're just going to do our general kind of move it and hit scan again, etc., etc. Again, if there was a lot of signatures, there might be multiple ones that are around here that you could actually knock out at once. Okay, so we can see that that's actually a wormhole. So that's going to be pretty easy to find later. We're just going to keep it there. Now what I would do at this point is probably scan the wormhole down and save it if I'm looking for an exit. So let's pretend like that's not a wormhole and move on to the other ones, which were, let's go ahead and go with the easy one right here. Alright, we'll just move over there and try to scan at 4 to try to simulate if you actually lose the dot itself, if you lose the cosmic signature. So we got lucky. It's just on the cusp of our scan range down there. Let's go ahead and, it might actually be a different one. Okay, perfect. Something you need to keep in mind here is these IDs will actually be the same until downtime, and then they'll shuffle around. So wormholes can actually last more than 24 hours, which means more than downtime. So they'll be the same ID ships or other players. If someone gets in or out of them, or if someone undocks, etc., etc., then it's going to change. As you can see here, we got a gas site right off the bat, basically because I drop my probes right on it. Hopefully we can get a more challenging one here. Well, demo me here. Forgot that this is the wormhole that we came out of, so it looks like we got 2 wormholes and a gas site. Alright, so now I'm going to try to simulate moving the probes in and out kind of like this. Now, the first thing I thought of when I saw that you could do that is thinking that, oh, well, if I isolate the probes a little more, and by the way, I'm holding Alt to do this, if I move them out like this, that I'm going to get a better scan kind of, I don't know what the word I'm trying to think of here is, but basically be able to scan something more quicker because I'm kind of focusing down on it. You'd be surprised a little. I know I was. That's kind of why I made the tutorial, the old one, and I hit on this real big about it. It seems kind of backwards to me. Alright, so as we can see there, just because I moved the probes over there, we actually got a 36.3%. I know the wormhole is not there. I know it's right here. So let's see what happens to the actual signal of it when we just put the probes right on top of it. Now you need to keep in mind that this is kind of a trick that you can use when trying to find harder sites if you don't have the skills to really get it once you're all the way down at the minimum range, which for these probes is 0.25 AU. And as you can see there, we moved all these probes basically on top of each other, and we've got 64.8 there. That's a whole 40% that we just made at the same range just by moving them all closer to each other. So in a way, it kind of makes sense because all the probes are basically, you know, closer, they can see something better. But then again, it really doesn't. Now, something you need to keep in mind though is by spreading your probes out like this, you're going to get more overlap. You're going to be able to hit more targets. If you're trying to find something, perhaps moving the probes over there and then doing this probably wouldn't be the best thing because you might not find it. It might be outside of this overlap. Perhaps it's oh, hello. Perhaps it's over here, and at least when you're over here you'll see it. What did I do to my... Oh, that was weird. Something you need to also keep in mind here is when you're pulling your probes in, you don't have to be uncloaked. Somehow they magically find your ship that is cloaked from sensors and dock into an invisible ship without messing with the invisibility juices that is making your ship invisible. Alright guys, that pretty much wraps it up what I have to try to teach you. So the last thing here, I'm going to show you some pretty sped up footage of me scanning off of my alt for one of my buddies in a wormhole. As you can see, there are a crap load of sites here. You can see me isolating down specific sites themselves and trying to get the IDs of them. You'll note that I've got the notepad open, and no pun intended, to actually mark down what the sites are, looking for wormholes, and boom, as you can see there, I immediately get the site. I actually joined a fleet here. Anyways, I marked that down on the notepad, and this is a pretty good tip if you're trying to buddy up with someone scanning so you don't scan the same sites down. So you make sure you can also use the MOTD or message of the day feature on the fleet or just a random channel to mark down all the sites alphabetically and then work your way through it with someone and have them update that as you're going through it. As you can see here, I marked that down. I'm just moving on to these other sites. Nothing really big or groundbreaking here, just showing you how I kind of work through the sites. Generally never really scan them down to 100% because as you can see here, there's a giant list of maybe 20 to 25 of them. If I'm looking for an enter and exit wormhole, this is exactly the process that I'm probably going to go through. Alrighty guys, with that last bit of footage there, I hope you all have enjoyed this video. If you found it helpful, just be sure to share it. If you didn't find it helpful, or if you have any tips or comments, if you want me to make another video of the same sort, I know I probably need to make another directional scanner video, although not many changes to that have come other than the UI itself a little bit there with the sliders and whatnot. Anyways, just leave me a like, a comment, anything, some form of interaction if you really want to. Hell, even send me an email if you want to. Got the same name in game as I do here on YouTube. So go ahead and send me some love or hate mail. I don't really care too much. Anyways, hope you guys have enjoyed this video. My name's Robo, and I'll see you guys next time.